Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are fit and fine. So dear students, let us continue with the passive voice. We are learning how to convert a sentence from active voice to passive voice. So let us continue. In my last video, we have discussed how to convert a sentence of simple present tense from active voice to passive voice. We also discussed how can we convert a sentence of present continuous, present perfect tenses from active voice to passive voice. Today we are going to discuss the rules of passive voice in simple past tense, present continuous tense, past perfect continuous tense. In my last video, I also told you that present perfect continuous tense, past perfect continuous tense, future continuous tense and future perfect continuous tense are not converted into passive voice. There is no passive voice of these four tenses. Only 8 tenses can be converted into passive voice, out of which 3 tenses we have discussed. Today we are going to discuss the fourth tense, that is simple past tense. Simple past tense. In active voice, we all know in affirmative sentences of simple past tense, this structure is used: subject, second form of the verb and object. Okay, and in negative, I am writing here, in negative, subject did not, first form of verb and object. This structure is used. In passive voice. In interrogative also, helping verb did is used, and the structure of interrogatives remain the same as all the tenses, okay, which we have discussed as of now. Okay, in passive voice, we all know very well that object becomes subject, helping verb was were is used, third form of the verb is used, isn't by, and this subject becomes object. We all know it. And also these are the general rules. Subject of active voice becomes object in passive voice, while object of active voice becomes subject in passive voice, and third form of the verb is used, and agent by is used. Okay, let me write examples. Active voice: I bought a new car yesterday. I bought a new car yesterday. In passive voice, so we all know this object, a new car is object here, so it will be used as subject in passive voice. A new car and helping verb was third form of verb bought. A new car was bought by me yesterday. Okay. A new car was bought by me yesterday. So everything remains the same. Only one change you can find, and it is in helping verbs. In all the tenses, in all the 8 tenses, the rules regarding passive voice remain the same. Rules regarding changing a sentence from active to passive voice remains the same. Only you will find change in helping verbs. Okay. Now I'm going to rub it. Garima did not answer my question. Garima did not answer my question. Active voice. Let us change it into passive voice. My question, it is negative, so it will also be negative. My question is singular, so that is why was will be used. We all know that for he, she, it and singular subject was is used, while for I, we with I also was is used. For we, you, then plural were is used. Okay. So my question was not. My question was not answered. My question was not answered by Garima. Okay. My question was not answered by Garima. Okay. Now, third example of interrogative. I'm going to write here. Did Saurav return your book yesterday? Did Saurav return your book yesterday? Active voice, passive voice. It is interrogative yes or no type question. So your passive voice also, when you will convert this into passive voice, it will also be yes or no type question in the same way. Was your book returned? Was your book returned by Saurav yesterday? Question mark. Was your book returned by Saurav yesterday? Okay. So it is active voice is interrogative yes or no type question. So passive voice also will be in interrogative yes or no question. And in active voice we use helping word did, and in passive voice helping word was or were has been used. So in the same way it is singular subject, so that is why was has been used. Okay, and in passive voice we always use third form of verb. By agent is used to join with join third form of verb and object. Subject of active voice becomes object in passive voice, while object of active voice becomes subject in passive voice. Okay, so these are the general rules which are applied in all the tenses. Now next tense, past continuous tense. Past continuous tense. So we all know in active voice of past continuous tense, subject was, were, first form of verb, ing the first form of verb, an object is used. Okay, subject was, were, ing to the first form of verb is added, then object. In passive voice we all know object becomes subject. In all continuous being is used, so was, were plus being is used, the third form of verb, by and object. Okay, so now let us understand with the help of example. I was driving my car at 6 p.m. yesterday. Okay, I was driving my car at 6 p.m. yesterday. In passive voice, so object is my car, My car was being driven. My car was being driven by me. So we use being in passive voice of past continuous. So my car was being driven. Uh, Third form of drive is driven by me at 6 p.m. yesterday. Okay. My car was being driven by me at 6 p.m. yesterday. Okay. Now I'm going to rub it and write down more examples for the same. Dipali was not answering Dipali was not answering correctly. Dipali was not answering my questions. Here, let me write my questions. Dipali was not answering my questions correctly. Okay. Let us convert it into passive voice. So what is object? My questions is object. My questions were not answered correctly or by Dipali correctly. Both are correct. My questions were not answered correctly by Dipali. Na, it would be more appropriate. Answered correctly by Dipali. Okay, dear students. So once again we can say that object becomes subject and verb which is followed by this subject will be according to this subject. We cannot use the same helping verb used in active voice, because in active voice subject is Dipali, but in passive voice subject is my question. So verb which will be put after the subject will be according to the subject. Okay. Here the subject of active voice is singular, that is why was is written. But in the second one, my questions is subject and it is plural, so that is why were has been used. So take the screenshot or you can pause the video and write down. I am going to rub it and write down one more example. Then we will discuss past perfect tense. Active voice. Why were not preparing for, why were you not preparing the timetable for your study? Okay, passive voice. Why was the timetable not prepared? Why was the timetable not prepared by you for your study? Okay. So why were you not preparing the timetable for your study? So why was the timetable not uh, being prepared? Why was the timetable not? It should be being here. Okay, being prepared by you for your study. In past continuous tense, being is used after helping verb. Okay, so must use being. Okay, dear students, what is the difference in simple past and past continuous? In simple past tense, only was, were is used, only was, were are used in passive voice, while in past continuous, after was, were, being is used. In last two examples, if you haven't used being, then use being after was, were. Okay. Now, next one. Present perfect. Just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. One thing, dear students, I forgot to use being after were in the last example, which is, let me write here once again. Dipali was not answering my questions. Dipali was not answering my questions. It is past continuous. In this example, when I made you write, I forgot to use being by mistake. Okay. So, my questions, my questions were not. My questions were not being answered. Being should be there. Please correct that one. My questions were not being answered by in past continuous we always use being. So this is the difference between the passive voice of simple past and the passive voice of past continuous. In passive voice of simple past, only helping verb was were is used, while in passive voice of past continuous being is used after was were. So please correct the examples in which by mistake we haven't written being. Okay. Now past perfect tense. Active voice. In active voice, use this structure: subject, has, have, oh sorry, it is past perfect. And had is used, not has, have. Subject had, third form of verb and object. Okay. While in passive voice, this object becomes subject and had, after had been is used, had been, in third form of verb and object. Okay. So let us write examples. Dipali had answered all my questions correctly. Dipali had answered all my questions correctly. On passive voice, all my questions, all my questions had been, all my questions had answered, all my questions had answered correctly by Dipali. Okay. All my questions had been answered. One thing again here I have forgotten. All my questions had been, it should be been here, had been answered correctly by Dipali. Okay. So if active voice is negative, then passive voice also would be negative. If it is interrogative, then passive voice also will be interrogative. Okay. So we cannot change the type of sentence. We are just we are just changing the structure of the sentence. Meaning and type of sentence remains the same. No change in meaning and no change in types of sentence. Okay. Only change in the formation of sentence. Only we are transforming the sentence. Okay. the sentence is being transformed. So it's all about, dear students, as we know that past perfect continuous is not changed into passive voice. So in tomorrow's video, tomorrow we will discuss future indefinite and future perfect. So thank you for watching this video. See you tomorrow.